Hello everybody, this is Richard Peacock with GetFlightPath.com, and today we're going to go over the degree data management section of FlightPath. This is going to be the section that administrators will actually use to maintain degree and course data. So I've already logged in as admin, so throughout this demonstration you're going to see a lot of options that regular users are definitely not going to have access to. The first one you see is right down here. I now have these options, FlightPath Admin Console and Toggle Draft Mode. So the one we're interested in today is the admin console, so I'll go ahead and click it. So a new window opens up, and we see a lot of options for configuring FlightPath, but what we're most interested in for this demonstration is right here, the section marked Data Entry. So what we're going to talk about is designing and developing degree plans that students can then be advised into. So degree plans are built from courses and elective groups, and then those two things create degree plans. So let's start with the most basic one first, courses. So I'm going to give that a click. And when the page reloads, we see we have just sort of a basic list of all the courses that FlightPath is aware of. And it's organized up here by alphabet. So for example, let's go to this one, Accounting 4033. And we can see when the page loads that we just have a basic form and we can make whatever sorts of changes we want. We can change the name of the course. We can change the title, minimum hours, maximum hours, and the number of hours that the course may be repeated for credit. Now, regular courses, these numbers will all be the same, but if the course has variable hours, for example, maybe it's between 1 hour and 6 hours, and it can be repeated for a maximum of 6 hours, that's exactly what that would look like, and the way FlightPath would render that would be as a repeatable course, where the advisor can then select how many hours they want the student to actually take. For now, let's just leave everything default. So you see we have descriptions. This option, Update for all years, the way that works is FlightPath is organized by catalog years. So right now we're editing this course specifically in the 2012-2013 catalog. So if we want, we can tell it to update the title, description, and hour information for all the years for this course. But for now, I'm just going to leave this course alone. So let's go back to the main menu. So courses are really actually pretty basic. Now let's look at elective groups, which can be a little more complicated. So if you remember from the student demonstration and the advisor demonstration, an elective group is a list of courses that a student or advisor can select from. For example, let's take a look at, let's say, art electives. So as you can see, here are the various courses that are available in this elective group. Now there are extra little symbols and things which we can explain in a later video, or you can read in the documentation to explain what they mean. But for the most part, you can see it's fairly basic. You get the title, the internal group name. This is just a name for the administrators to be able to see, to just help organize things, because there actually might be several groups titled art electives, and I think there were. So you would want to give it a unique internal group name just to help yourself organize it. The priority. Now what this is the higher the priority, the faster the FlightPath will select higher priorities first to fill in courses. So let's say you have 2 different elective groups in a degree plan and they both can accept the same course. Let's say English 101. Well, the way FlightPath decides which group to put it into is that priority. And then you see you have, you can change the icon if you want, or have, just a basic icon like this one. So I'll tell you what, let's go back to the main menu now, and let's look at the degree plans. Let's see how it all gets put together. So you see here is just a list of degrees. I'm going to select this one just as a demonstration to show you kind of an overview. So as you see when the page loads, like the other areas, it's just a form. We can put in the type, the title of the degree, and here we can see we can actually start typing courses and putting in elective groups. Now this degree is actually fairly basic. There isn't really anything past sophomore year because this was just a 2-year degree. Let's look at a more detailed degree. For example, English. So we can see in sophomore year, for example, we have several courses. Oh, and I guess I should explain that. This area is for courses that are just spelled out on the degree plan, and this area is for elective groups. So we can see in sophomore year of English, they have to take English 2001, English 2002, History 1011, History 1012, and they have to take 3 hours from Communication Studies, have to take 6 hours from the group Foreign Language, and so on. So let's actually create a degree just so I can show you what that looks like. So I'm going to click here, Add New Degree Plan, and we're just going to make up a bogus degree. So don't worry too much about these settings that you're going to see. I'm just putting in just a generic degree information. We're going to call it our fun degree, so its code is going to be fun. Okay, it's been added, so we'll go back to the degree list. And you see there it is right at the top. So I'll click it, and for the most part it's completely blank. So degree type, I'm going to say this is a BS in Science of Fun. So in this first block, the default title is freshman year, but we can actually call it anything we want. Like we can call it pre-professional year, for example. But I'm just going to leave it as freshman year. I'm going to actually put in some courses. Now, whenever we do course entry, we can actually classify the courses as major, core, supporting, or elective. And we do that by adding a little character at the end. So by default, anything you add is considered a major classification. So M for major. If we want it to be supporting, we can do that. Or a core requirement, we can do it like that, and E would be elective. So I'll just change this one back to core, just like that. If we want to put in a minimum grade requirement, for example, the student must make a certain grade in order for that course to fill in on the degree plan, we can do that too. So let's say that this one requires that the student makes a C or better. So now let's add some elective groups to this freshman year. So I get this pop-up, and this is every elective group in the system. Now the fastest way to find groups that I might be looking for is to press Control F on the keyboard. That pulls up the Find dialog. You see, right there. And then I can just search for a keyword. In this case, English writing elective, that's not the one I wanted. So let's say core English comp. And the number of hours they must take, I'll say 6 hours. The minimum grade they have to make is a C, let's say. And let's call this a core requirement because its name is core English comp. So I'll now click Add Group. And there we go. It's been added. So let's add another elective group. And I'm just going to pick random groups at this point just for a demonstration. Okay, so let's go down to sophomore year. And let's add a couple requirements in there too. Okay, as you can see, I don't actually have to put in classifications. If I just click Save, it actually organizes it alphabetically, and it goes ahead and puts it in as a default major classification, or major requirement. Let's add a few more elective groups. Again, just completely random. Okay, and I'm going to say that that's enough for just this demonstration. I'll hit save, make sure it's been saved correctly. So we can see up there at the top it's been updated. So what I'll do now is I'll go back to the degree list. And now that we've actually given it a title, our fun degree has actually been sorted. So if we go and look for it, again, the fastest way is probably just to press Control F. And there it is. So just give that a click. So you see it loads back just fine. So how do we actually see this degree plan in action? How can we actually see it? Well, at the moment, all changes and all additions to FlightPath's data is part of FlightPath's draft data. And it's not till it's actually applied that we can see the draft data publicly the way everybody else could see. And this is so that you can work on things behind the scenes without somebody getting confused, seeing half-finished data whenever you're just in the middle of it. However, there is a shortcut. If we look back at our tabs, if we're at the top, for the browser, my main tab is still open. I'll go back to it. We see this down here, this toggle draft mode. Now this is only for administrators, but what that'll do is FlightPath will start using its draft data specifically for the blank degree search right there. So I'm going to say enable draft mode. Yes, hit submit. So now draft mode is enabled. So I'm going to click blank degree search. Select the catalog year. And now we'll be able to find our Science of Fun degree in this list. So remember, it started with an S for Science of Fun. And there it is. And as you can see, we can now see the courses that I added, right? And we can see the elective groups. So let's say that we're actually done with this. We no longer need it to be in draft mode. So I will toggle draft mode, say do not enable it. So now draft mode has been disabled. So we want to actually apply our draft data into production data. So I'll go back to my admin console, and if we scroll down to the very bottom, we see this option, apply draft changes. So I'll give that a click. So there is actually a password that you must enter before you can apply draft changes, and this is set up in FlightPath settings. So you would set this up whenever you're setting up FlightPath. And as soon as it submits, might take a few minutes because it's got a lot of data that it's copying over. So it is finished. So what we can do is we can now go back to our main tab here, and we can search for some advisees. I'm going to search for our test students. So for example, Jane Doe or John Doe, let's do him. So if we look at what if, we can actually see that the Science of Fun degree is now one of the options in what if. And we can see how his credits will fit in. So for example, his English credit fits into core English composition, his Art 1001 credit fills into the degree plan. And so as you can see, we've completely finished this degree, and we can actually see it in live production data, exactly how it will look. And that's about it for degree data management. So as you can see, it's really not that hard once you know what to do. And there actually are a lot more options that I didn't go over for the sake of brevity. But maybe covered in another video or in the documentation. Okay, well, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching.